If lately you've had a lot of foggy thinking, dizziness, reoccurring headaches, you're being extra forgetful, you're having a hard time finding words, or you're even forgetting how to spell the most basic words, or if you're going to read and you end up having to reread the same paragraph or page over and over again because you don't even remember what you read and even why that keeps happening, these may be signals that it's time for you to let go of something in your life that isn't working. And it isn't working, you say. It isn't working. It isn't working. Nothing's working. When something isn't working, let it go. What a preposterous idea. We women who do too much often see something that isn't working and call it to arms. We can work a little harder, push a little harder, do a little bit more, try harder, try, think, figure it out, do, force, push. Isn't letting go the same as giving up? Life in its normal state is a series of cycles, a series of beginnings and endings, a series of changes. We humans are probably the only species willing to make ourselves sick by holding on to something that is already past. It's very strange that often when we are willing to let go, like truly willing, just then everything shifts and letting go may not be the issue. Our holding on is what is making us sick. Letting go is usually a statement of personal power, not defeat. And this comes from one of my favorite daily readers that was gifted to me during the throes of my workaholism in corporate life, in my first business that I basically built a business that was worse than having a corporate job working for a really bad boss. I was like a tyrant boss. And this beautiful, beautiful friend of mine gave me the book, Meditations for Women Who Do Too Much by Wilson Schaef, Schaef. You can get it on Amazon. Highly recommended. If you're tired of hearing the same old basic mindset and motivational fluff talk, you've come to the right show. Welcome to Project Me with Tiffany Carter, the podcast, where we dish on everything from managing that crazy brain of yours to manifesting abundance to my straightforward, actionable steps that will make you major money online. Now, I'm not your typical multimillionaire entrepreneur. It takes a small village to keep my anxiety and depression in check. I'm inherently disorganized with an intense obsession with office supplies. Your girl here is a digital marketing content expert who's generated over $200 million in sales. I promise by tuning in twice a week, you will get a much needed refreshing dose of truth, clarity, and cash making advice. Now let's get to it. What up, my people, my posse, my fellow crazies? It's your host, Tiffany Carter, and this is the show that is going to help you grow your business, your bank account, that big, beautiful brain of yours, your abundance, your relationships, and everything in between. I am trying to sit here on the cuddler, and I wanted to be extra comfy for this episode. And Sir Chubbs, if you're watching here on YouTube on ProjectME TV, decided that he's taking over the most expensive seat in the house with the best view. And I just get to sit on the edge because this is what we do with our fur babies. We make ourselves so uncomfortable so they can be comfortable. My sweet baby emotional support animal. So there are 12 laws in the law of manifestation. Some might disagree, but in all the readings I've done and the teachers that I've learned from in my own experience, I do agree that it boils down to 12 laws. And of those 12 laws, probably the most famous being the law of attraction itself, there actually is one that gets overlooked the most often. I don't see it talked about, certainly not enough. And it's the one that really changed the trajectory of everything for my life and how I've manifested. And when I've taught this to my clients, the work we do on this law and my in-person mastermind, the results speak for themselves. People are able to manifest things faster into their reality because they're already hanging out there. Okay. What you're wanting, because you're wanting it, because you desire it, it already exists. So there's already a dotted line to it that is energetically at a different frequency than where you're at right now. And then what happens is the universe, God, angels, spirits, aliens, whatever the hell you believe in, okay, a higher power, something greater than yourself, does all of these things, twists and turns and molds and shapes, makes you uncomfortable, even makes you miserable, makes you happy, gives you awakenings, has you go one direction when you really thought you were going another. And what it's doing is it is directing you to make you an energetic match for what the hell that you're saying that you want. You said you want to grow your business to where you're not in the thousandaire status anymore, you're in millionaire status. Or maybe your focus is, yes, you want to make lifestyle changing cash, but you want to be able to focus on living your life and having the freedom and doing what you want, and you can go where you want. And maybe your desire is that you want to work, 20 hours a week. And you're saying you want these things or that relationship or something with your health, or you want community, or you want to grow your platform. And that's great. And I love that you do that part. That's very important, to be intentional with making it clear of saying what you want and sitting in stillness and sitting in quiet and taking abundance walks and abundance baths and abundant showers, which, by the way, I'm working on something very special for you that I will be debuting this fall. That is, oof, you're going to love it. But I had to do some deeper work of my own in order to be able to deliver this special thing for you that I have coming up. And yes, you sit in that and you can visualize and crystallize it and feel it. And that is so important, because if you're not clear on how you want to feel, you don't have to know the how and all the details, but what it is you're ultimately desiring for yourself and the feelings that go with it. Well, then the universe doesn't really know how to help direct you to match your frequency up for it to come into fruition into your life. So many of you who've been listening to me, who also follow me along on TikTok at Project Me with Tiffany. Hopefully you're also following me on Instagram at Project Me with Tiffany. And you have been practicing my abundance practices and my manifestation practices, and you've been working on healing your money mindset and all these things. You've done the visualizing part. You know what you want. So many of us know what we want so much it can even make us sick. It can even make us angry. It can make us stressed. Like, why don't we have this yet? And the part that's being left out of why it is not in your existence yet isn't that it doesn't exist for you, isn't that it's not possible for you, isn't that it's not meant for you. It's that you're trying to control it. You're actually standing in the way, because things will end up happening. And listen, I have had, as much as I've had, the most financially abundant summer I've ever had in my life, literally. And like week over week highs, like another $100,000 week, another $125,000, $117,000 with working part-time at most, while me traveling all over. And I've set this up. I've called this in. I've taken aligned action. I've done all the things. I am product and proof for you that this works, as are so many of my clients, where there's countless testimonials right in the highlight section on my Instagram for my in-person mastermind, October 1st and 2nd. We only have a couple of spots left now, and this is it. This is the end of the road. This is a choice for you to make. I know some of you are last minute bookers. I'm a last minute booker of things. I just want to say, for my kind of more last minute bookers, or you're someone who maybe will drive here, or you're local, or it's just like a short flight. I mean, listen, I booked my Europe trip like 10 days before leaving. So I understand my fellow procrastinators and all of that. I just don't want you to miss out on the opportunity to not just be able to learn from me and my ProjectME Dream Team on how and the actual steps on scaling your business without burning out, creating multiple reoccurring revenue streams that you can consistently depend on every single month, where you're not like wondering where the clients are coming from. You know that they're going to be there, and then anything over and above is delightful and incredible. And there's a strategy behind that. And you're not going to have to guess anymore. You're not going to have to wonder. You're not going to waste more time, energy, and money trying to figure it out. You'll walk away knowing that. But truly, the most powerful thing that people walk away from spending 2 full days with me in this magical multi-million-dollar beach in Manhattan Beach, California, where we're doing this at a beach mansion, and you are able to soak in this incredible energy of possibility and abundance, and your nervous system feels calm, and you're not inside some hotel conference room. You're not inside some big ballroom inside under fluorescent lights taking notes, right? You are absorbing the abundance while learning, while being in the energy of it. And literally, we've set it up to where it's impossible for your manifestations to not come into fruition unless you refuse to show up open and willing. And even if you show up with a lot of resistance, I've also brought in my team of healers that are going to help you break through that. Because I know a lot of resistance doesn't necessarily come from you being defiant or you being just like some miserable curmudgeon. I'm someone who can get into a lot of resistance because of my childhood trauma, because of my need for feeling safe and secure, because of my PTSD. So there are other reasons involved, and the people that are going to be there, obviously myself included, are very well trained and trauma informed and know how to work with people who are neurodivergent, or you have ADHD, or you're on the spectrum. Because obviously they work with me and my clients, and remember, like attracts like. So we can't add more spots in this thing because, one, the fire department would be called. Two, we can only handle so many of you crazy asses. And I love you guys. And in order for us to deliver the premier service, the premier quality, the premier abundance that we do here at ProjectME, even though I'd make more money by taking more people, and I do love money, and this is a business, we have to take quality as number one and care. So you can go to projectmewithtiffany.com/mastermind, projectmewithtiffany.com/mastermind. Swipe up. The link is in the show notes. It's here in the description on ProjectME TV on YouTube. And if you're going, I'll go next year, or I'll go once and I'll go when, you got to kind of ask yourself, why am I resisting doing something that I know without a doubt will give me the roadmap for where I want to go, where I'm shaving off all of this time? On top of that, I'm working through all of my stuff that goes on in my brain, of my insecurities, of my self-doubt, of the inner bully stuff, of my money noise. So I have all of that going on. I'll have the support. I know Tiffany's going to make sure that this is a safe and welcoming and fun environment. And you're saying that you want to propel your business to another level. You're saying that you want to make lifestyle changing cash, whether for you that means going into the mid six figures, the high six figures, seven figures, multiple seven figures. It's all relative. You don't need to be someone who's coming here and you're like, oh, well, I don't know if I want to be a multimillionaire like you, Tiffany. Like, I don't know if that's my motivation. And it's like, well, that's okay. What it's about is the abundance that you're wanting and what that abundance represents for you. And that you're wanting to be in control of your time, and you're not wanting any person, place, thing, job, or institution, or client, or even a program or a product or service in your business to control you. I coach many people who come to me where they have on the outside businesses, social media audiences, podcasts, in-person businesses, storefronts, restaurants that are successful monetarily, but they are trapped by it. They can't even relax when they go on vacation. They are riddled with stress. They have regular stomach aches and sleepless nights. That's not true abundance. I know because I did that with my first business. And if I am not diligent and in doing this work and practicing this law that I keep dangling on a carrot for you in this episode, and my apologies on that. It's truly not by intention. This is a really, really long build up to it. And if I steer away from putting things into place and practices into place that I'm going to share with you today on prioritizing this law in the law of manifestation, I can end up going back into, like I read in the intro, of the forcing, of the pushing, of the figuring it out, of the self-will, which is all rooted in fear, which is scarcity, which is the opposite of abundance and repels exactly what we want. So I would just say to you, make a decision on whether it's joining my posse membership for our remaining days of our summer special. There won't be any sale or any special bonuses for a long time in the posse. And keep in mind, the posse is capped at a certain size so that I can truly call it an integrity, a group coaching membership with weekly live trainings with me and special guest experts. And when you go to the page, projectmewithtiffany.com/Project Me Posse, if it says full, then you're going to just have to check back like in several days or next week and wait until a spot opens up. Okay. But make a move, whether it's a bigger move and coming and working with me in person, or it's joining the posse, or you want to double down on yourself and make damn sure that this is the year that this is happening. And you're at that point where you're like, you know what? I don't want to fuck around anymore. I've wasted enough time. I've wasted enough energy. You may have even wasted enough money on falling for fantasy marketing or, looking for some kind of a quick fix. And you're like, I know I get one life and I don't want to see any more time go by. And I want to make sure I'm taking advantage of this peak money making season online that literally starts in days from now. Then do both. Like, make a move. Like, that's the all-in move, is doing both things. So it's the law of detachment. And the law of detachment is actually the most difficult of all the laws in my experience in coaching and mentoring and training and teaching over the last 16 years. I also would say for me, that is the most difficult, where if I do not have practices and things in place so that I stay in the energy of detachment, I can absolutely sabotage my manifestations. And here I'm the person coaching it. I'm the person teaching it. I'm a longtime practitioner of it. I'm also a human being who is flawed like everyone else. I'm a fellow crazy brain. And I'm also someone who needs to feel safe and needs to feel secure. And anything that reads unsafe to me, it's like danger, 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 because I have all these other mental health things on top of it and trauma and other stuff that goes along with it. And I know you do too, right? They might not all look the same and we might have different circumstances, but you have a entire repertoire of your brain of I've spent money here and it didn't work. I went after building a business here and it didn't work. I've done this for 3 years and I've not made any money. I look at me with my first business that I still have now, but that first business, I didn't start Project Me because of what happened with my first business. I mean, it almost killed me. And I was like, "I don't have it in me to do that. That sounds so exhausting." I was going and based on a past repertoire, on a past circumstance. Just because something was like this before, that doesn't mean it has to be like this again. Just because you did one thing one way yesterday doesn't mean you have to do that today. Something that happened for me over these past, I don't know, 2.5 months, I've gone through another level of depths of growth, which went deep in pain and discomfort. And I will do an episode on it because I think it's really important for you to hear how I navigated it. And so you have a reference point that when you're basically feel like you're drowning and there's no life preserver, that's where your ultimate growth is. But wow, is it painful? And that's where this law of detachment becomes really hard for us. And when we are feeling like nothing is working, we're flailing around, we get hit with multiple things all at once, which is what happened to me in this last, I would say, 2 months to 2.5 months. Ooh, one thing after another. While I also keep in mind was having my most abundant summer yet. That's also the law of polarity, right? That's a different one of the laws where you can have both happening. And I want to touch on that really quickly because when you are in the depths of hell that it feels like, where nothing feels like it's working, where it seems like you're going way backwards. You have so much money on the line, risk on the line, heart on the line. And of course, when we finally decide to take an action and we decide to do all the things and we decide to go all in and we decide and we're finally going for it and we're getting out of our own way, because we are flawed human beings with egos, we want the cookie. Oops, I shouldn't have said that when Chubb's here. Bad word choice. We want the COOKIE. We want the reward. We want it instantly. And what we finally decided we're going to take the risky action. We're going to step into the uncertainty. We're going to bet on ourselves. We're going to get out of our own way. We're going to take contrary action. And now we want the reward instantly. It ain't work like that, honey. I wish it worked like that. I wish it did. And sometimes we will end up, because we want that so bad, because we're so uncomfortable. So we're being dependent on something outside of ourselves to soothe ourselves. That's not law of detachment, right? We're wanting to have something go, see Christy, see Susie, see Sally, see Audra, see Anne, see Debbie. You did the right thing. And here's your reward. Good job. Doesn't that feel good? And then it feels good. And you're like, okay, then I'll keep going. Well, that's contingency. You're basically saying, I'll only keep going. I'll only remain uncomfortable. I'll only stay in this spot of uncertainty and uncomfortability and the unknown and continue betting myself as long as I see proof and evidence that it's working and that it feels good and that the reward is there immediately and when I want it on my time. This is the opposite of detachment, opposite of surrender, opposite of faith. This is all pure ego and self-will. I fall into it too. Everyone does. You're a human being. I don't care who you are. Okay? And what I want you to know about that is just because it feels like nothing is working right now, that doesn't mean that you're also not abundant. And you have to be reminded of this, which is why it's so important for you to put yourself in rooms, in places that hold you accountable, where you're constantly being fed this money juice, constantly putting you back in the abundance zone, as I call it, by listening to this podcast, by showing up weekly to the live posse trainings, by coming in person to the mastermind. This is why I created my posse membership. Truly is what you need more than anything is the accountability, the access, the support, and for you to be able to get back into that grounded, abundant state so that you keep going and you get out of self-will and you know that you're not alone. I mean, it's really like an entrepreneurship support group, but that serves all the straight up strategy as well. I mean, just saying. And right now, you get my Nail Your Niche Masterclass for free. People paid $600 to attend that. Okay. You're getting that for free. Plus, you also get my Content Creation Made Easy course bundle for free and 2 months free when you select the annual option. I mean, it's a no brainer. Ends up being something crazy, like $2 a day. And let me tell you, your ass is spending more than $14 a week on a couple coffees or you buying some unnecessary pair of leggings. Okay. So you can do this for yourself. And you know where all the links are. They're in the show notes, in the description here on ProjectME TV on YouTube. You actually have to go over to YouTube just to see Chubbs. It's I'm sure Jen, how she's editing this, hopefully she'll be able to have him in the shot. I am so uncomfortable. I'm sitting on one butt cheek on my cuddler, which people who attended my mastermind last year got to experience the cuddler. It's a very expensive dog bed that faces a multi-million-dollar ocean view. And Chubbs has decided to take it over right upon time of recording. One of my mental tricks, because we do have to trick our mind back into abundance, it is mind fuckery. Okay. This is truly how I teach it. I don't vibe with the teachings of, even though it kind of sounds nice and flowery, of like, let it go and you need to let it float away in a river, and all of that can be nice, if someone does a nice visualization, at the end of a yoga class. I'm more of a realist, and I am more of someone where I know how unwell you are in the mind and that we require advanced mind fuckery in order for this to work, because that's what I require. So you've got to put yourself in situations where your mind is constantly being inundated with abundance thoughts to like shock yourself out of that scarcity and remind yourself of the abundance. This can be, like I said, binging the podcast, being in the posse, putting yourself in environments like coming to my mastermind. If you're someone who goes to church or you go to temple, whatever it is, like putting yourself in a spiritual sanctuary, going and doing breath work classes, walking around barefoot in the grass, spending more time in nature, taking abundance baths, abundance showers. You have to create a routine out of this. So, one thing I want you to commit to, and just say to yourself, no matter where you are right now, say, I commit. If you commit to this, I would love it if you took a screenshot of this episode, shared it in your Instagram or Facebook stories, tag me at Project Me with Tiffany, and put like, I commit, committed, all in, whatever short phrase feels good to you. And then I know for sure you've done it. And I will happily reshare those posts of yours too, because I think it's important for others to see. You inspire other people, you empower them to take action, really, which is much more potent than inspiring. When you say you're all in, you can recommit and regroup at any time. And why not now? New month, we're coming up on a new season. We're coming up on the most financially abundant season of the entire year. So now is the time. And commit to yourself. I am going to be diligent and prioritizing being and staying in the abundant zone, in the energy of abundance. I'm going to prioritize this. In fact, this is going to be my number one priority. And there's so many things that can make you contribute to feeling abundant. And there's so many things that can pull you out of it and put you into scarcity. Right. So first, I want you to make a list. So you can jot this down, or you can put this in your notes app. You're going to make a list of all the things that make you feel abundant. Things you listen to, scents, activities, lotions and potions, you wearing certain, what clothes make you feel abundant, TV shows that make you feel abundant, podcasts, which might be on that list. I hope it is. Book, prayer, what activities make you feel abundant. And then I want you to create a list. I would love for them to be side by side where you're drawing a line down the middle. And I know y'all have 5,000 journals, so you have plenty of places to write this down. And on the other side, I want you to make a list of all the things that rob you of your abundance. Literally put on the top, these things rob me of my abundance. You're robbing yourself of your God-given, bestowed, beautiful abundance that is equally available to all of us. It's that we stand in the way of it. It's not that it's not there for you. It's not that it's not destined for you. It's not that it's not meant for you. It's not that it's not possible for you. It's not that it can't find you. It's that you're standing in your own way of it all. And this is how we are going to actively make sure that that's not happening anymore. But you have to do your part, which is why I want you to commit. So things that will absolutely block this abundance for you: engaging with negative people, gossipy conversations, fear-based conversations. For me, I cannot watch any news, political crap, the state of the affairs of the world. I can't watch it. I do not watch scary movies. I do not. Very rarely will you see me watch any form of true crime. With the childhood I have, I mean, I can have a full docuseries of true crime from my childhood. I don't need to relive that. So I'm very particular about what I watch in terms of who I'm watching on social media. I've really curated that. I can't do the fakeness if I know someone's full of shit of what they're putting out there versus what I know the truth to be. I don't want to feel that energy where I go, I know this person's fucking lying. I know this person, right? Which there's a lot of them. Or, just anything that makes me feel icky, or someone who, someone whose energy just feels off, as someone who myself, I'm a highly sensitive person. I'm an empath. I'm an intuitive. We people who are wired like this, we've got to be extra, extra careful. So making those things can pull me into it. Any sort of super tight clothing, itchy, scratchy, hard fabrics, not a fan. There's some things I realized lately about me being in major crowds, unless it's a crowd where it's like a festival, right? Where everyone is delighting and dancing, but frantic crowds, it doesn't work for me. So maybe for you, some people, I have a few friends that actually had to stop drinking caffeine because that made them go into more of that fear-based energy. I have another person I know who's a client of mine where she found, because she was doing this work and being much more diligent and observant of what pulls her into scarcity and what also pulls her into abundance. So when you're doing this list, it's ongoing. More things will be revealed to you because you're actually paying attention to it and being open to it versus not giving any attention. What we give our attention to grows. So by not giving it any attention, you're not going to get anywhere. And she found that like spicy foods don't make her feel good. They really get her going. For me, if I eat too much chemical foods, packaged foods, not good for me. And it might not, you know, I might not be noticeable from having like one moment where I have goldfish crackers on an airplane. Okay. But it's the cumulative effect. Maybe you have 6, 7 things going on right now that are pulling you into scarcity. And it's all those things combined that you're fighting against it. Why make it harder on yourself than it already is? It's already mind fuckery to stay in the abundance zone, to stay in the law of detachment. So let's not make it any harder than it needs to be. So you're going to do that, and then you're going to take a screenshot of this episode, share it on Instagram, Facebook stories, tag me at ProjectME with Tiffany. We can also share it, of course, on TikTok at ProjectME with Tiffany as well. And then I know that you're committed. The next thing is reminding yourself of how abundant you actually currently are. We forget this when we are wanting to call in something at our next level, when we're wanting to call in something more or something different. Something short circuits and we forget that we're already abundant because you're wanting more money, because you're wanting more love, you're wanting more support, you're wanting to feel more vibrant and healthy, you're wanting a bigger house or a certain vacation or lifestyle or something to happen in your business. That doesn't mean that because you're desiring and wanting more, that means you're in a place of lack, right? You're already abundant. You're already here. You're already alive. You're already breathing fresh air. You already are loved. You already are a divine being who has a purpose in this world, or you wouldn't be here. You're already being able to experience the warmth of the sun, the dance of the trees, the blooming of the flowers, the smelling of the damn pumpkin spice. The season came very early this year, you guys. And my basic ass biatches out there who love this pumpkin spice, I do not know what to do with you. I can't fucking do it. It literally gets worse every year. And I could really go on a tangent for it. I will refrain. Now, I will tell you though, I am not against a pumpkin spice candle. Okay. I have just purchased some for order. In fact, I enjoy a slice of pumpkin pie as long as it's cold. But do not start putting pumpkin spice flavoring in my noodles, in cookies, in crackers, in coffee, in lotions and potions. I am not about this life. That actually is something that does not make me feel abundant. But for you, delighting in going to Starbucks and that first sip of your pumpkin spice latte for the season, I know that my brand director, Samantha, it delights her so much and puts her in such a zone of abundance that her ass even got pumpkin spice fucking nails. She got a pumpkin fucking spice manicure. And that's okay. It doesn't do it for me. It goes on the other side of the list. So we all get to be different and I still get to make fun of you. So now you're going to go on another page and make another list. If you're someone who doesn't want to write this shit down, all I have to say is I hear you. As much as I'm an office supply addict and have 8,000 journals, I avoided writing things down for majority of my life. It annoyed me. I actually wouldn't work with a therapist or a coach who wanted me to write stuff down, but you want to know what? The truth comes out when you write stuff down. I wouldn't be telling you to do it if it wasn't worth it. It's very fucking potent. And if the more you're resistant to it, the more you need to do it. I know some of you don't like me for saying that. You can type it. You don't have to write it, but I'm just saying. So the next list is your abundance list. You hear people talking about gratitude lists. If you've listened to the show long enough, I can get a little triggery around the word gratitude because of something nasty and abusive my mom would say to me growing up. So I have something called an abundance list to remind ourselves of how abundant we already are. I truly have been doing this long before this list was easy. Okay. I'm not naive to that. And when you're in a shitty spot, yeah, it's harder to do this list, but it's really important to do it and keep it really simple. All right. I'm sitting here, I'm petting Chubbs. He's snoring away. My emotional support animal. That's abundance. Yes, I am staring at the ocean right now, watching the waves crash while I get to make my living pouring into you, sharing my expertise, my intellectual property, my passions, my skills, and my talents, podcasting, my dream. It's abundance, right? But I obviously didn't always have this. So when you keep it simple, it can be, you know, some you're a couch that you have that you love in your house. It could be that you have beautiful family, a great relationship with a sister, with a partner. It could be that you are able-bodied and you're able to move your body and you woke up and you can breathe. It could be that, what you've made it through in life and you've made it through some tough stuff. And that's abundance. It could be your relationship with spirit, your relationship with God. It could be a simple picture. It could be a drawing that one of your kids made. It could be that your eyebrows are on point. And I'm looking at myself right now, and that's what came up. I was like, my eyebrows are pretty on point right now, considering that I'm podcasting in my pajamas that are not even cute pajamas. I call them my comfy pajamas, like super soft, super snuggly. That's abundant to me. So, what's that abundance list to remind yourself of all that you already have? You can want more, you can want big, big things. And that's not saying that you're in lack or you're missing out on something just because you're wanting more. That's not saying that you're not appreciative of what you have or that you're going to lose what you have because you want something more. And then we get into, Tiff, what do I do when I'm spinning? I'm seeing that nothing is working. Well, one, I'm giving you the exercises for that right now. But you have to remind yourself that you spinning, you zigzagging all over the place, you feeling like a mess, you being emotional, you being scared is actually at working. For you to think that the only proof of something working is that it feels good, that's not fucking true. That's not true in any area of your life. How many relationships do you have in your life where maybe you guys are going through a rough patch or you've had a disagreement? That doesn't mean the overall relationship isn't good. In fact, disagreements are a very healthy part of relationships. And that is what propels growth in a relationship and deeper connection. Ask any therapist. I have a lot of therapists and a lot of psychologists who listen to this show. And I've had God knows how many years of therapy, 20 years of therapy. Actually, I think I've had more than 20 years of therapy. Oh my God. I've had a lot of therapy. Even when I was in a 10-year court battle with my dad's third wife, won't go into it. This was rough. Okay. This was crazy. And it was out of state. So I was flying on my own fucking dime to Chicago regularly while I was working my booty off, also having to travel for work. It was insane. absolute insanity. And then there would be setbacks. I mean, like we've had a lawyer die. We've had anyone who's been in any court thing or has gone through divorce, there's twists and turns and setbacks. But that didn't mean that it wasn't ultimately going to work out for my greatest good. And that shit went on for 10 years. Talk about me having to practice the law of detachment. And that's why I'm also able to help millions of people with this. And I'm able to teach this and coach you on on doing this because I've put it into practice. I have worked this muscle over and over again. Look at the abundance that came out of all of the challenging situations in my life. You have the same thing. You have lots of things that you've gone through, that you've made it through, that you've navigated in your life that have now given you the wisdom and the strength and the hope that if you so choose, you pass on to other people. That's a wealth of knowledge. That's a wealth of abundance. So reminding yourself that just because something in your own ego and it feeling good all the time, there's not one successful person, whatever success looks like to you. Success to you could be living on a farm somewhere and working 3 hours a week. Success to you could be writing for a living. Success to you could be a recording out artist touring. Success for you could be having a, top 5 podcasts worldwide like I do and helping people monetize their gifts, passions, and talents online. It could be in the healing space. It could having a store, a restaurant. I mean, there's so many different dreams and visions of all of you who listen. And just because it seems hard and just because it feels so far away and you've not really had a win in a while, I promise you that doesn't mean it's not working. It is working. You have to trust that it's working. That's the law of detachment. You have to embrace the uncertainty because if you don't embrace it, now you're not remaining open to the possibilities. Maybe the universe is having all of this happen for weeks upon weeks upon weeks because it is steering you in a faster direction, in a more loving direction than where your ego and your humanness and your brain thought was the best path. The universe knows better. It's going, you're saying you want this, honey. You asked for my help. You're asking for mercy. You're asking for an easier way. You're asking for a more abundant way. Well, yeah, we've got to like redirect you in order to do that. And in that redirection, it is typically very uncomfortable and incredibly uncertain. And if we don't leave ourselves open to the possibilities, you're blocking your ultimate abundance. It's like you got to avoid limiting the ways that your desires can manifest. And when you get in self-will and you get in the way and it should look like this and why aren't more people liking my content and sharing my content? And why am I not having more clients? And why didn't I get this raise? I've had probably hundreds, it might even be thousands of people I've coached at this point who've gotten fired when they've been working with me or in one of my programs. They had happened to them what they couldn't do for themselves, or their jobby jobs got so uncomfortable and so miserable, or their marriages, or a business partnership, or even a particular business or like niche or industry they were in it's got heavier and heavier and harder. And they're like, this is what the hell is going on? Why is this happening to me now? I'm doing all this work. It's because it's supposed to happen to force your ass to let go of what's not meant for you. Detaching, letting go, releasing what you're holding on to something for so long because it feels familiar, it feels secure, it feels safe. Your ego, wants it on your terms and your timing. And that is what's blocking your abundance. How much abundance can get in? I'm waving my fist at the camera right now on ProjectME TV on YouTube. How much fucking abundance can get in with a tightly closed fist? What can get in here? You can't catch a butterfly. You can't have a ladybug land on your hand. You can't hold someone's hand and embrace them with a tight fist. Then you've got to let go and open. That tension of holding your fist like that becomes heavier and heavier and more exhausting until you're forced to let it go to save yourself and loosen your grip. And where can you do that in your life? And a lot of times it has to happen for us when we can't do it for ourselves. And that's the universe doing it for you. And that in of itself is proof of abundance. Where do you have too much of a tight grip? Where are you trying to force your will? What do you need to let go of? Maybe you need to let go of your incessant need for certainty and security versus having faith and leave room for that. Because maybe it's that neediness, that codependent side of you that is needing things to be a certain way for you to feel safe. That's the very thing you need to let go of, because that's the very thing that's blocking you. Releasing our emotional attachment to how a launch looks, to how an event looks, to how a new business looks, a product looks, a book, a relationship, our bodies. I mean, this applies to every area of our life. And, you know, I can get this attachment when I go to do a launch because I put such heart and soul and time and energy and money and just intention into everything that I do here, you know, at ProjectME. I love you guys so much, and you deserve the best, and I want to deliver it. And then that can grab me and block me of my abundance because I can have this emotional attachment where I'm like, don't you see how much I'm giving you? Aren't you getting that I'm giving you the roadmap here and I'm giving it to you literally at a fraction of what I should be charging? In fact, at a fraction of what I know most other people are charging who have much fewer receipts than me, and many of them are full of shit and do fantasy marketing. I'm over here delivering the goods, keeping it real, showing the receipts, doing the things, and then I'll get pissed off and resentful when I see you guys going and buying into by the droves into these fantasy marketing programs. And it's like, why would, and then I get mad and resentful. That's me being emotionally attached. Where I can then, if I lean into that and I'm not practicing all of these detaching exercises I'm sharing with you today, oh wow, it can get dark. And I know your ass has done it. If you put yourself on the line enough in business and in life and in love and in things, you've definitely done it. Okay, some of you play it so safe that you've not experienced true anguish of feeling uncertain and uncomfortable because you've never really gone all in on betting on yourself. So you avoid that feeling by playing it small and safe, and that's blocking your abundance right there. You've got to let go of that thing. But if I lean into it, I can go, well, I guess everyone just wants this quick, easy fix, this fantasy marketing, these people who are saying, oh, you can just make a course and just put a course out there and have it on your link in bio, and you'll just like make money magically through the night. And that's all you have to do. And get like angry and even want to like quit my business. It can go that far where I get so frustrated and so pissed. And then I get angry and in this nasty energy when I then see all these fantasy marketing people online. And I mean, I can go down a whole path. Or when you get these comments from people or emails where you know you're delivering and over delivering the best, and that's still not enough for them. And then I'm like, fuck this. I know how much I give. And if that's still not enough, meanwhile, 97% of you know what's here and what's delivered and can feel it, have experienced it, are so grateful for it. But then I'll fixate and focus on the 3% of the nastiness, which pulls me out of the abundance zone. That's not detaching. That's holding on with two closed fists. And how do you think everything ends up in that way? And that's why every single day, if you're truly wanting the abundance, which I know you are, and the manifestations and what you're wanting for your life and the remainder of your life for however long you have here, and you're not wanting to be riddled with this anxiety and riddled with this fear and this money noise, then the work that you have to do, it's not going to come magically. We have to do the mind fuckery with how our brains just naturally work and set yourself up to be in the abundance zone, not leave that to chance. That's your job in co-manifesting. You're co-manifesting the stuff you want, not, oh, that's on you. I'm going to sit back and do whatever the fuck. And yep, that's all on you, universe. That's all on you, God. Yeah, that's the opposite of manifesting. That's not going to happen. So recommit to yourself. You got off track. It's okay. I've gotten off track too. Life can pull us. We can get really rattled by stuff, especially when we've put ourselves out there on another level. We have things from our past that haunt us. We have those past memories and traumas that come up that can take a grip on us before we even realize that we're being sucked down into scarcity. And I would say, I think it's probably unrealistic for most people to take a daily inventory of their abundance and scarcity meter. Like, where are you at in the meter? You know, like almost like looking at a gas gauge, right? So scarcity is on empty, abundance is on full. Where are you at in the meter? I mean, you can have an intention of doing it daily. I just don't want you to put that pressure on yourself. Like, oh, I have to do this daily for this to work. But at very least, I want you to do it weekly. Where am I at in this abundance meter? Am I in a spot where I feel like I'm on empty? And then you can take a look at, okay, what kind of stuff have I been doing that's probably contributing to this? And what can I do? What are some things I can do to put me back into that abundance zone, to put myself to fill that back up? And it can be as simple as that. And you monitoring that and making sure that you're taking those daily actions of that will help you stay in that detached energy of trusting that the abundance that's here and available for you is coming to you, regardless of what's going on in your present circumstances on any given day. Whether one person or a million people is liking a post, whether you land a client that week or you land none or you land 10, whether you have a big setback or you have a big win. On either side, you know that the abundance is ultimately coming for you. It's ultimately on its way because you've already set it into motion. And if you're showing up as the best that you can on any given day, investing your time, energy, money, and heart, there's no way that it won't happen as long as you're being diligent about that and you're focusing on that and being present about that and mindful and continuing to let go, let go, let go, let go, right? Let go and let God is a very beautiful phrase that I use. And even if you're someone who doesn't believe in God, like that's not your thing, let go and let the universe, let go and let spirit, like really. But when you hold on, you're going to get dragged and it's so painful. And if you're in that spot right now, you heard this episode for a reason. You really should re-listen to it. Perhaps make sure you also watch it on ProjectME TV here on YouTube, okay? And make a move to take an action on another level and join me. Join us for 2 days here in Manhattan Beach, October 1st and 2nd, projectmewithtiffany.com/mastermind. Come into the posse every single week, live trainings with me and other special guest experts. There is a membership library of well over 350 training videos now that are incredible. The other members are genuine, helpful people, refer each other clients in there. There's people who found great, like VAs, people to help them with social media, graphic artists. Like, it is a wealth of information, because there's no way out of all of those members that there isn't someone who knows someone who can vouch for someone who can help you with something, or someone who can answer a question that you've not been able to figure out, or that you're struggling and you just need somewhere safe to share that you're in it. And even if you don't want anyone to give you advice, but that you're just sharing that and you wanted to feel heard and seen and understood, this is a highly monitored, safe space that I take really seriously. And that's why people have been in the posse for years. So we keep it capped, like I said, at an intimate size. So when you go to the page, if it says it's full, you can check back, I would say maybe every week, and see if there's a new spot. Because obviously there are people who drop off and move on to other things, and then you'll be able to get in there. The summer sale is coming to an end, and there won't be any kind of special sale for quite a while. So I would take advantage of it. And remember, what is ultimately supposed to be yours is going to be yours, as long as you're showing up and doing the best that you can and you're active participant in your life, and you embrace the uncertainty, you embrace the uncomfortable. It's all going to happen for you. If it's possible for me, it's possible for you. Wishing you great health, wealth, and worth as always. Love you. If you enjoyed this podcast, please write a 5-star review on iTunes. Not only will this make me super happy, but it will allow more listeners to find our special show. Simply help me help others.